In a time, before the manifestation of matter, even before the universe took its first breath of expansion, there was only silence. But it wasn't an ordinary silence. It was an absolute silence, full, brimming with infinite potential. Within this apparent void, there dwelled a primordial, immaterial, ineffable force. This silence was not absence, but containment. It was the womb of the cosmos waiting for the moment of creative contraction. Then, in an immeasurable instant, the silence was shattered by a sound. Not an ordinary sound, but a pure, original, timeless vibration. This was the beginning of everything. This sound, the primordial word, not only filled the nothingness, but shaped everything. It did not echo, it built. It was not heard, it was felt. Every atom, every light, every galaxy, every particle of what we now call reality, sprouted from this eternal vibration that molds the invisible foundations of existence. This is not an isolated mystical idea. It is a memory recorded in almost all ancient traditions. The Egyptians claimed that the god Ptah created the world through the word. In Hindu cosmology, the primal sound Om vibrates eternally at the core of the universe, being the creative and sustaining principle of all things. The Mayans in turn believed that the gods sang the world into existence. At the beginning of all time, they said, the world was not visible, not solid, but rather resonated in tones and timbres that only the gods could pronounce. The Old Testament opens its narrative with the famous phrase, "And God said, let there be light." That is, the act of creation begins with a sound, with a verbal expression, with the word. Nothing is done before the vibrational emission. There is no world before the divine speech. As we delve into these mythologies, we realize that they are not confined to folklore, but carry a core of wisdom that anticipates what modern quantum physics begins to decipher. Reality, according to some of the most brilliant physicists of the 20th and 21st centuries, is not composed of solid and fixed objects, but of vibratory fields. Particles, upon closer examination, reveal themselves as oscillating frequencies. It's as if the universe were a grand symphony, where each physical component is nothing more than a note, vibrating in an invisible cosmic rhythm. This idea resonates with ancient doctrines that placed sound as the originating element, and more than that, they understood that this sound was not just physical, but spiritual. It was a sonic consciousness. This consciousness that vibrates to create cannot be explained by linear logic alone. It transcends common language. Therefore, ancient traditions resorted to symbols, chants, archetypes, and myths to convey what cannot be explained, only experienced. They knew that creation did not begin with a gesture, nor with light, but with a sound that was also pure intention. And this is where we find the root of the sacred word. It is not sound by acoustics, but sound by purpose, by the consciousness behind the emission. The initial vibration, therefore, carries within it the seed of all forms, emotions, thoughts, times, and spaces. Everything you see today, from your body to planet Earth, from DNA to the galaxy's magnetic field, is in essence a dance of vibrations derived from that primordial sound. What few people realize is that this initial sound still vibrates. It never stopped. It continues to echo through time, subtly, like a heart pulsating behind the visible curtain of reality. It is possible to feel it, to hear its echo in deep meditative states, or when absolute inner silence is achieved. Some traditions call this the soundless sound, or nada Brahma. The sound that permeates everything, but cannot be captured by physical ears. It pulses in the between lines of time, sustains atoms, and connects all beings. The sound of creation is constant, eternal, uninterrupted. It is the invisible thread that sews all worlds together. Upon understanding this perspective, the idea that in the beginning was the Word becomes more than a religious belief. It becomes a universal vibrational truth. If everything came from sound, then everything is sound in different forms of condensation. Your body vibrates. Your thoughts emit frequency. Your emotions have tone. Your dreams resonate on another scale. The illusion of separation between matter and spirit begins to crumble when we understand that, in fact, everything is vibration at different stages of density. Matter is just slowed down sound, light is accelerated sound, and the spirit is the invisible conductor that governs all these frequencies with pure consciousness. The silence that preceded the first sound is often overlooked, but it is as sacred as the word itself. It represents infinite potential, the pure quantum field, where all possibilities exist before being collapsed into form. Absolute silence is the womb of the universe, and sound, the birth of the cosmos. When you enter into a deep state of meditation, you return to this original silence. When you find peace, you tune into the pre-word, and when you express yourself with purity, alignment, and truth, you reconnect to the original sound, albeit unconsciously. That's why words spoken with true intention have so much power. They are not just sounds, they are vibrational keys. The creation, therefore, was not an isolated event, but a continuous process. The original sound is still creating, and you, as part of the whole, carry within you this creative spark. You are not a passive being before the universe. You are a channel of the original vibration. Every time you speak, think, sing, or desire, you modulate the frequency of the field around you. And if everything vibrates, then everything responds. This leads us to a fundamental truth. You are co-creating your reality, not with your hands, but with the vibration that emanates from your essence. The key to transforming your life is not outside, but in your ability to align with the sound that still echoes from the dawn of time. When we understand that sound is at the foundation of reality, we start to view life through new eyes, or rather, with new ears. We listen not only to what is around us, but also to what vibrates within us. We realize that chaos, pain, fear are not eternal noises, but momentary dissonances that can be realigned. The universe is not silent, it is singing. And this song is not random, it is sacred, intentional, and accessible. All it takes is the desire to listen. If everything came from sound, then everything can be transformed by sound. No matter how far you are from peace, abundance, or fulfillment, there is a frequency that connects you back to the source, and this frequency is alive, available, waiting for you to tune in. The original sound continues to echo. The question is, are you listening? Since the dawn of human consciousness, there has always been a mysterious and powerful intuition that words, more than just a means of communication, had the ability to shape reality itself. This perception was not seen as metaphor or poetry. It was deep, experiential knowledge. Ancient traditions did not differentiate between the word and power. The word, or logos as the Greeks called it, was not just an articulated sound, but a conscious creative force, an organizing principle of the universe. For Heraclitus, the logos was the harmonizing flow behind the apparent chaos of the world. For the Neoplatonists, it was the bridge between the divine and the manifest. And for mystical Christianity, the logos was Christ himself, the incarnation of the divine word, made flesh. The word was not something said, it was something that, when expressed, became form, event, reality. In the Vedas of ancient India, the same idea is encapsulated in the primordial sound Om, a sacred vibration that contains the past, the present, and the future. Om is not a word in the conventional sense. It is a sonic encoding of totality, a frequency that, when intoned, resonates with the pulsing of the universe. Om represents cosmic consciousness manifesting in creation. It doesn't describe the universe, it is the universe vibrating in sound. Om is not just the beginning of mantras, it is the very beginning of creation according to Hindu doctrines. When Brahma, the creator, awakens, the first sound that expands from his consciousness is Om, and with it arise the worlds, the laws, the cycles of existence. In both cases, both in the Greek logos and the Vedic Om, we find the same central truth. The universe is organized and maintained by a conscious vibration. The word, the sound, the verb, all are aspects of this creative energy that brings order to chaos, light to darkness, and form to the invisible. This leads us to a fundamental point. The human word is an extension of this creative principle. When we speak, we are not just emitting sound, we are reverberating, on a small scale, the divine dynamics of creation. Therefore, various traditions warn about the use of words. In Hebrew esotericism, for example, the name of God is unpronounceable, for to contain it would be to contain the very power of creation. In Islamic Sufism, the names of God, when chanted, are considered channels of healing and enlightenment. In each true tradition, the word is sacred, for it carries potency. Modern science is beginning to touch the edges of this ancient understanding. Research in neuroscience shows that words are not neutral. They alter physiological, emotional, and hormonal states. The word peace, for example, activates brain regions associated with safety and joy. Meanwhile, words of hate trigger defense responses, fear, and withdrawal. This reveals that language, more than a symbol, is a vibrational technology. Our cells react to sound. Our energy fields expand or contract according to the quality of the words we hear or speak. This confirms what the ancients already knew. The word is a tool of transformation. But the crucial point here is not just the sound, but the intention behind the sound. The logos is not just any word. It's the word full of consciousness, emitted with purpose, aligned with the source. The OM is not just a ritual sound. It's a frequency carrying the cosmic will. What determines the power of the word is not its external form, but its internal vibration, its coherence with universal truth. A simple, "I love you," when spoken with truth, can heal deep wounds. On the other hand, a lie, no matter how sweet it sounds, can unbalance entire subtle fields. This means that the universe does not respond to articulated language, but to intentional vibration. It is the energy behind the word that shapes reality, not the word itself. This is the key to understanding why mantras work. Mantras are not just repeated phrases. They are vibrational formulas that, when chanted with devotion and presence, reprogram our energy structure and realign our fields of consciousness with the divine order. A correctly chanted mantra not only influences the mind, it transforms the body, purifies the emotional field, and raises the spiritual frequency. It is a vibrational surgery, and the more aligned an individual is with their inner truth, the more effective and transformative their word becomes, whether it is spoken, sung, or merely felt. In the Hebrew tradition, there is the concept of dabar, which means both word and action. This illustrates a fundamental understanding. When the verb is spoken with truth, it triggers action. It moves the world. It transforms the invisible into visible. In the Gospel of John, we read, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." This is not a theological phrase, it's a cosmic affirmation. The Word is God in action. The original vibration is the divine presence manifesting in the fabric of existence, and this same Word pulses in you. It is in your ability to name, to bless, to decree. You are, in essence, a conscious fragment of the Logos. Your sound has weight, your voice has direction, your word shapes your destiny. Understanding this leads us to a radical change in our attitude towards life. We cease to be victims of circumstances and instead become conscious co-creators. If everything is sound, then our words are beams of light shaping the patterns of the unseen. Every sentence we say, every thought we vocalize, every intention we project through speech acts as a vibrational command. And the more in tune we are with the frequency of the Logos, the more aligned our creations will be with universal harmony. This is not abstract spirituality. It's the forgotten technology of the soul. For this reason, ancient cultures such as the Australian Aborigines, Tibetans, Amazonian shamans, and Egyptian priests used the intonation of sacred words as a way to maintain balance between the worlds. They knew that the correct sound, emitted at the right time, with pure intention, had the power to heal, open portals, and transform destinies. They spoke to the world as if conversing with a living consciousness, and they received answers. Today, we have lost this wisdom. We speak a lot, listen little, and feel almost nothing. We have disconnected from the vibrational essence of the word and from our responsibility as emitters of creation. But the call to return is there. It's a silent yet persistent invitation that echoes within each being. an invitation for us to speak with purpose again, to think coherently, to vibrate with love, to make our words a channel of truth and light. For when the word aligns with the heart, and the heart aligns with the source, the impossible dissolves, chaos reorganizes, and the miracle becomes commonplace. The Logos is not an ancient myth. It is a living reality. It is here now, waiting to be recognized in its purest form, within you. The sacred sound continues to flow, and the right word, spoken with soul, can still move mountains. Do you remember your original sound? Science, when truly free from dogmas, inevitably moves toward the recognition that everything that exists is, in essence, vibration. Even the densest matter, the one that seems solid to our senses, is composed of particles vibrating in invisible energy fields. Atoms, once considered the indivisible building blocks of the universe, are now understood as frequency vortices that oscillate incessantly in the quantum void. And the most fascinating part is that this void, seemingly without substance, is the fertile space where the vibrational matrix that gives rise to all forms pulses. What we see as solid at the microscopic level is space, pure rhythm, pure oscillation. Matter, therefore, is nothing more than coagulated sound, condensed form of vibration, a sound that is crystallized in time. When vibration is organized, it generates patterns. When it is disorganized, chaos arises. This basic principle can be visualized in the studies of cymatics, a science that explores how sound shapes visible matter. Hans Jenny, a Swiss doctor and scientist, dedicated years to recording how different sound frequencies affect substances such as sand, dust, and liquids. By subjecting a plate covered in particles to specific sound frequencies, Jenny observed the formation of incredibly complex geometric figures. By increasing the frequency, the patterns became more elaborate. What previously seemed random took shape. The images resembled mandalas, flowers, cellular structures, solar systems. It was as if the sound revealed the hidden signature of creation, transforming chaos into organized beauty. An invisible orchestra quietly conducting matter. Other scholars followed this path. The Japanese researcher Masaru Emoto exposed water samples to different words, music, and intentions, freezing the molecules and photographing the formed crystals. Words like love and gratitude resulted in harmonious, symmetrical, beautiful crystals. Meanwhile, expressions like hate or anger produced deformed, chaotic, fragmented shapes. Although criticized by some sectors of traditional science, Emoto's work has become a popular icon of vibrational wisdom, demonstrating that matter directly responds to the quality of vibration to which it is exposed. If water, which makes up more than 70% of the human body, is shaped by words and intentions, then our entire being is a receptive field to the frequency we emit and receive. These experiments are not just curiosities. They confirm that sound is not just a sensory experience, it's a structural force. It shapes the visible from the invisible. It organizes what seems disordered. When sound vibrates coherently, it builds. When it vibrates in disharmony, it deconstructs. That's why ancient civilizations considered sound a spiritual and material technology at the same time. The Egyptians designed temples with sacred acoustics. The Greeks used music as medicine. The Hindus chanted mantras not as empty rituals, but as vibrational formulas capable of altering states of consciousness and physical reality. Sound was understood as a bridge between worlds, between spirit and form. Sacred geometry, present in so many cultures and civilizations, is also a direct unfolding of sound into form. The circle, the triangle, the spiral, the cube, all of them represent vibrational structures that govern the manifestation of matter. Each pure sound generates a specific geometric shape. Therefore, the universe is a dance between vibration and form, between sound and image, between movement and structure. When we speak of harmony, we are referring to a state where vibration and form are in perfect correspondence. And when we refer to chaos, we refer to a state of vibrational misalignment. It's not chance, it's resonance, or its absence. In the field of physics, especially with the advancements of string theory, impressive confirmations of this ancient wisdom arise. According to this theory, the fundamental particles that make up reality are not structureless points, but tiny strings that vibrate at different frequencies. Each frequency corresponds to a type of particle. In other words, the universe is not made of things, but of vibrational patterns in multidimensional strings. This is equivalent to saying that reality is a grand orchestra where everything that exists is music in different tones. Matter, energy, time, and even space are specific manifestations of vibration at different levels, and if everything vibrates, everything can be tuned. This notion opens extraordinary doors, because if matter is vibration, then it can be transformed by the correct frequency. This includes diseases, emotional imbalances, repetitive mental patterns. Each of them has a specific frequency. When identified and confronted with a harmonic vibration, transmutation occurs. This is the principle of vibrational healing, used for millennia by spiritual traditions, and today resumed by therapies such as the use of sound frequencies, Tibetan bowls, tuning forks, binaural music, among others. Sound, when well applied, is more than art. It is medicine for the soul and body. But the most impressive link between vibration and matter might be in the very origin of DNA. Research suggests that the helical structure of the molecule of life responds to sound frequency and can be altered by it. Experiments with specific sound waves have shown that DNA can be restored, reactivated, and even reprogrammed. This means that the right vibration can awaken dormant genetic codes, heal mutations, and even access latent potentialities in humans. Language in this context ceases to be merely a means of expression and becomes a code for biological activation. All this understanding brings us back to the forgotten essence of sound. It is not an isolated phenomenon, but the invisible fabric that stitches together all planes of existence. Sound is vibrational architecture. It is the engineering of the soul. It is the brush of consciousness painting worlds on the canvas of space-time. The creation, maintenance, and dissolution of everything that exists is in constant dialogue with vibration. When we speak, when we think, when we feel, we are emitting frequencies that shape the fields around us. Reality is malleable, responsive, alive, and what commands it is sound in its purest form, vibrant intention. Thus, sound ceases to be a peripheral entertainment and assumes its true identity as the organizing principle of the universe. We are not living in a silent universe. We are immersed in a constant sound field, where each atom vibrates as part of an immense cosmic symphony. Every thought we have, every word we say, every emotion we feel, is a note that we contribute to this universal melody. The question is not whether we are emitting sound. That is inevitable. The question is, are we in harmony with the music of the cosmos, or are we out of tune with our own internal frequency? The reality we perceive around us is a vibrational mirror of our inner emission. What is outside responds to what vibrates within. Matter is not an obstacle to spirituality. It is its sonic expression. Flesh is the word made form. The body is a song in motion. And life, this life that now pulses in you as you listen to these words, is a unique composition in the eternal concert of being. It is up to you to choose whether you will be a noise among lost voices or a clear note in the chant of creation. In all the major spiritual traditions of the world, sound holds a central position, not as a ceremonial adornment, but as the most direct vehicle of communication with the sacred. What is seen in ancient texts is not just a superficial reference to sound, but a profound structure based on vibration as the origin, support, and return path to the divine. Sound is not simply mentioned, it is revered, concealed, protected. In many cases, the sacred words are treated as divine secrets, whose power could only be awakened by those initiated into the mysteries. In others, they are repeated in chants and psalms with ritualistic precision, as they carry a sonic geometry that is lost in incorrect pronunciation. The sacred word is living sound, and the sacred sound is a creative word. In the Abrahamic traditions, for example, we find the potency of the word in the first lines of Genesis. And God said, "Let there be light." The universe does not arise from a physical action, but from a sonorous affirmation. This "said" is more than a metaphor. It is a spiritual technology encoded in language. The Jewish tradition, especially the Kabbalistic one, takes this to an extreme refinement. The name of God, YHWH, is composed of letters that do not have vowels, that is, it is unpronounceable in a conventional way. This is not by chance. It reveals the belief that the true name of the Creator should not be lightly spoken, as it carries within it a vibration so powerful that its incorrect invocation could generate spiritual imbalances. That's why, in the oldest practices, sacred names were chanted with extreme reverence, accompanied by specific gestures, breaths, and intentions. Each sound was a code, a vibrational key. In the Hindu Vedas, the oldest texts of humanity in continuous written language, we find an even deeper exaltation of sound. The Rig Veda asserts that the universe was created through the primordial sound. Each Vedic mantra, when chanted correctly, activates specific frequencies in the practitioner's energy field. The correct chanting of the Gayatri mantra, for example, is said to open portals of inner wisdom, while the Mahamrityunjaya mantra acts on overcoming the fear of death. These sounds are not just invocations, they are vibrational configurations refined over millennia. The rishis, Vedic sages, did not write, but orally transmitted these formulas with accuracy, for they knew that sound, when corrupted, lost its potency. Writing could not capture the true vibration of the mantra. It was necessary to hear it, feel it, vibrate it. In Buddhism, particularly in the Tibetan tradition, sound is used to transcend the phenomenal world. Mantras like Om Mani Padme Hum are understood not just for their literal meanings, but for their total vibration. Each syllable of this mantra is considered a step in the purification of aspects of the human mind, and its repetition acts as a mechanism for realignment with universal compassion. Furthermore, bells, drums, and monastic chants compose a vibrational environment designed to dissolve the ego and make room for the perception of the absolute. Lamas do not sing to impress, they vibrate to transform. In Islam, the recitation of the Quran is a spiritual practice in itself. The text is referred to as the recitation, Al-Quran, and its power lies not just in reading, but in the resonance of the voice. Tajweed, a set of pronunciation rules for correct recitation, is not a grammatical whim, but a technique of sound modulation. The idea is that the Quran, when recited with vibrational precision, activates elevated states of consciousness. It does not merely inform, it transforms. Sufi mystics take this even further, using chanting and repetition of the divine name, dhikr, as a means of merging with the divine. Sound becomes a ladder to ecstasy, to the forgetting of the ego and the reconnection with the source. In indigenous cultures, sound is not separated from nature. It is the very language of creation. Among shamanic peoples, song is a bridge between worlds. In healing rituals, the songs, referred to as Icaros in the Amazon, are not composed like common music, but received in altered states of consciousness. They are considered living beings, frequencies with their own intention. Each Icaro acts like a sound spirit, capable of guiding, healing, cleansing, or opening dimensions. Shamans do not sing for aesthetics, they modulate realities with their voice. Sound in this context is direct, effective ancestral spiritual technology. It converses with the forest, with the elements, with the spirits, and it is heard by them. In early Christianity, prior to dogmatic institutionalization, we find similar practices. The first Christians chanted psalms and hymns as a means of accessing the divine. Many of the songs recorded in the apocryphal texts carried specific sound formulas, intended to induce states of grace, visions, and healings. The Gnostic tradition spoke of the inner word, a divine frequency present in the heart of every human being, which could be activated through deep silence and listening to the Spirit. The Gospel of Thomas states, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." This points to an internal force, a vibration, a voice, a hidden sound, that is both creator and destroyer, depending on its expression or repression. The sacred languages of these traditions also hold vibrational secrets. Sanskrit, Hebrew, Aramaic, Classical Arabic All were considered living languages, endowed with specific frequencies that modulated energy fields. Each letter, syllable, or phoneme carried an invisible geometry. The ancients knew that by pronouncing certain words with the correct intonation, it was possible to open portals of knowledge, healing, and ascension. Therefore, many of these languages were reserved only for ritualistic use, being protected from common and profane use. They were sounds to be vibrated in reverence, not in vanity. Liturgical practices, in turn, have maintained the vibrational architecture of the sacred for centuries. Gregorian chants, for example, sung by monks in medieval monasteries, demonstrate neurological and emotional reorganization effects on those who listen to them. Modern studies reveal that continuous intonation in certain scales generates deep states of relaxation, heart coherence, and brain synchrony. Sound, when properly used, organizes internal chaos, calms biological rhythms, and brings us closer to the mystery that pulsates behind form. What unites all these traditions is the understanding that sound is the direct language of the spirit. Words can be translated, concepts can be debated, but pure sound touches the essence without the need for interpretation. It predates language, predates thought. It is the breath that precedes the word, the echo of the origin within form. That's why, even without understanding the literal meaning of a mantra, a psalm, or an ancestral chant, we still feel its power. It's as if the soul recognizes, without intermediaries, the truth contained in that vibration. In the ancient scriptures, in the preserved chants, in the forgotten rituals, vibrational codes rest that not only tell a story, they reenact it. With every conscious repetition of a sacred sound, we recreate the moment of Genesis. With every intonation aligned with the spirit, we reactivate in ourselves the original pattern of harmony and connection with the whole. Therefore, sound has never been merely aesthetic, but always a bridge. Never just art, but always alchemy. Never just language, but always power. The human body is much more than flesh and bone. At its core, it is a resonating box of consciousness, a sonic temple where vibration transforms into tangible reality. When a soul incarnates, it does not merely occupy a body. It acquires an instrument, a living harp capable of playing the frequencies of the divine through voice. The human voice is not just a product of speech, it is a direct expression of the inner state, an extension of the soul. From the first cry at birth to the last breath at departure, each sound we emit carries encoded information about our essential vibration. The way we speak, the intonation, the timbre, the rhythm, and even the silence between words reveal more about who we are than any resume or projected image. The voice is truth vibrating in the world. Within us exists a precise vibrational architecture. The air that enters through the lungs, propelled by the diaphragm, passes through the larynx where it encounters the vocal cords, vibrates in resonant cavities such as the mouth, nose, and sinuses, and transforms into sound. But beyond this biological engineering, there is a subtle energetic circuit formed by chakras, nadis, glands, and vibrational fields. The human voice emerges from the intersection between the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual body. When we speak, it's not just the air that moves. It's our vital energy projecting into the world. Each word, if aligned with inner truth, carries a transformative force. If misaligned, it produces noise, confusion, imbalance. The throat chakra, located in the throat, is the energy center directly linked to communication, authentic expression, and conscious creation. It is the portal through which the sound of the soul encounters the external world. When this center is blocked, whether by fear, repression, lies, or trauma, the voice loses its strength, communication becomes confused, and to manifest the desired reality weakens. On the other hand, when the throat chakra is open and aligned, the voice becomes an instrument of healing, of positive influence, of vibrational co-creation. It not only conveys ideas, but transforms atmospheres, inspires consciousness, awakens ancestral memories. The body as a whole participates in vocal emission. The heart, for example, influences the emotional vibration of the voice. When we speak with genuine love, with compassion, with presence, the heart rate comes into coherence, and this harmony is translated into sound. The abdomen, where the sacral chakra resides, contributes to emotional potency and connection with creative instinct. The root of the voice is not in the throat, but throughout the integrated energy system. Speaking, therefore, is not just emitting sound, it's vibrating fully. The authenticity of the voice depends on the total presence of the being in each word. And this presence is felt, even if unconsciously, by everyone who hears us. The vocal timbre is like a sonic fingerprint. There are no two voices exactly alike. Each human being carries a unique vibrational signature, encoded in their voice. That's why certain voices calm us, others inspire us, some bother us for no apparent reason. The sound of the voice activates specific regions in the brain, awakens memories, triggers archetypes, influences states of consciousness. It's a frequency that communicates beyond words, and when used with intention and alignment, it can heal, open doors, dissolve resistances. Singing, chanting, whispering, or just speaking with soul is to activate the spark of the original word within us. Throughout history, great spiritual leaders, masters, and initiates have always understood the power of the voice. They spoke little, but each word was a lightning bolt. Their voices not only taught, they awakened. There was a vibrational quality to their speech that transcended the content. It was as if their words opened an inner space in those who heard them. Jesus, Buddha, Rumi, Krishna, Moses, they all used voice as an instrument of transformation. It was not about eloquence, but about vibrant presence. The sound laden with truth has a reach far beyond space and time. It echoes in subtle fields, crosses dimensions, plants invisible seeds that bloom long after the listening. Spiritual traditions have used singing and chanting as essential tools for connection. Mantras, psalms, sung prayers, power songs, all are ways to activate the divine frequency through voice. Tibetan monks chant with frequency so low that they resonate in the bones of listeners. Shamans use singing as a vehicle for spiritual journeying. Hebrew priests use the singing of psalms as a method of purification. Singing is not just ritual, it is applied vibrational engineering. When we chant sounds with sacred intention, we align our energy fields with the harmonic matrix of the universe. The vibration adjusts, the body responds, the soul ascends. Even the simple act of breathing and making a sound can become a practice of reconnection. The consciously vocalized sound, even without words, activates the energy centers, releases tensions, dissolves blockages. A simple ah or intoned with presence can change the internal state within minutes. This is used in yoga practices, sound meditation, energy healing. The voice is the most accessible and powerful tool we possess, and it is always with us. It does not require external instruments, just awareness and intention. It is a forgotten resource of infinite power. Everyday speech, in turn, has become trivialized, fragmented, often contaminated by noise and superficiality. We talk too much and say too little. The verb has been trivialized, but the rediscovery of the power of voice begins with listening. Listening to one's own sound, listening to the silence between words, listening to what vibrates before speaking. Listening is the beginning of tuning in. And speech, when it comes from deep listening, becomes medicine, direction, revelation. The conscious voice does not judge, does not impose, does not manipulate. It offers, it guides, it heals. It is the vibration of the heart through sound. That's why so many modern and ancient spiritual practices insist on reconnecting with the true voice. Singing alone, chanting mantras, recording one's own voice with words of power, speaking to oneself in a loving tone. All of these are ways to realign expression with essence. The voice is the sonic mirror of the soul. When there is truth, it shines. When there is pain, it trembles. When there is presence, it becomes the bearer of the source. And from that point on, everything transforms. Relationships, paths, decisions, health, purpose. The living word is the beginning of transmutation. The memory that needs to be awakened is simple yet profound. Your voice is not just your own. It is an extension of the original sound. It is the echo of the primal word that continues to create through you. Speaking is an act of creation. Singing is an act of invocation. Chanting is an act of alignment. The human voice is the divine instrument that allows the spirit to shape the world into sound, and the world in turn responds. Throughout human history, there has been a subtle, almost instinctive understanding that sound carries a healing potential that transcends the boundaries of the physical body. Even before the advent of formal medicine, sound was used as a balm for the soul, a remedy for the spirit, and a tool to restore the lost balance between the human being and its essence. And this knowledge, far from being unfounded superstition or mysticism, is today reinforced by the discoveries of quantum physics, neuroscience, and bioacoustics, which continue to confirm that the human body is not just a biological machine, but a vibrational field constantly resonating with everything around it. Within this field, sound acts as a precise agent, capable of modifying cellular structures, reorganizing mental patterns, dissolving traumas, and even influencing tissue regeneration. Sound, when conducted with awareness and pure intention, becomes living medicine. Among the most studied and used frequencies for this purpose, the 432 Hz and 528 Hz stand out, often referred to as natural or healing frequencies. The 432 Hz frequency is considered a harmonic tuning with nature's patterns, being perceived by the human body as gentle, relaxing, and deeply balancing. Many reports suggest that music tuned to 432 Hz generates deeper meditative states, tension relief, mental clarity, and even positive changes in heart rate. The 528 Hz, on the other hand, are known as the miracle frequency, attributed to DNA regeneration and the awakening of unconditional love. Scientists like Dr. Leonard Horowitz have explored the effects of this frequency on cellular biochemistry, pointing to its ability to repair damaged genetic structures and promote harmony in the immune system. The body, when exposed to these vibrations, recognizes the coherence and responds with internal realignment. This process of vibrational recognition is present in various contemporary therapies. Music therapy, for example, uses specific compositions and sounds to treat psychological, emotional, and physical disorders. In hospitals, clinics, and therapeutic centers, the use of music is not just recreational, it's prescribed as treatment. Deep and prolonged sounds are used to ground patients with anxiety. Repetitive rhythms induce states of therapeutic trance. Soft melodies assist in the recovery of patients with chronic pain. More than just relaxing, music reorganizes the mental and emotional field, promoting states of coherence that facilitate healing. And when combined with intention, its effects are intensified. Intention, in this context, functions as the vector that guides the direction of the frequency. Without it, sound is just vibration. With it, sound becomes directed, conscious, alive. Vibrational medicine goes beyond music. It uses ancestral instruments such as Tibetan bowls, gongs, crystal harps, therapeutic tuning forks, and even the human voice to interact with subtle fields. The resonance produced by these instruments acts on the chakras, the meridians, the electromagnetic fields, and even on cellular structures. Sound, being a wave, penetrates all layers of being. It crosses the skin, muscles, bones, emotions, and thoughts, reaching layers of consciousness inaccessible by conventional therapies. This is why so many people report transcendent experiences during sound healing sessions. Visions, release of repressed emotions, childhood memories, feelings of expansion, altered states of consciousness. Sound not only heals, it reveals. The heart, the central organ of physical and energetic life, responds intensely to sound. Studies show that listening to harmonious music reduces blood pressure, stabilizes heart rate, and increases heart rate variability, a direct indicator of emotional and physiological health. Specific sounds, such as vocal harmonics or isochronic tones, induce states of heart coherence, in which the heart and brain synchronize, promoting a state of peace and clarity. This state is the foundation for self-healing. When the nervous system stops operating in survival mode and enters a state of regeneration, the body's natural healing processes automatically activate. And sound is one of the few external stimuli capable of inducing this state without conscious mental effort. Beyond the physiological aspect, sound directly affects the emotional field. Emotions such as fear, anger, sadness, and guilt, when not processed, accumulate as dense frequencies in the subtle fields and manifest as physical symptoms. The right sound, applied with intention, can dissolve these emotional charges, freeing the flow of vital energy. Techniques like toning, where prolonged vocal sounds are intentionally emitted over certain body regions, demonstrate the sound's ability to unlock stagnant energy and restore emotional fluidity. The vocal vibration acts like a ray, penetrating inner layers and breaking down crystallized emotional structures. The person feels immediate relief, even without intellectually understanding what has been released. Emotional memory also responds to sound. A certain song can instantly transport us to a forgotten memory, a stored feeling, a moment that seemed lost in time. Sound acts as a bridge to the unconscious, accessing information that the rational mind cannot reach. Therefore, sound is one of the most effective tools for dealing with traumas. Specific sound therapies, such as binaural sounds, use the frequency difference between the ears to induce specific brain waves, alpha, beta, theta, delta, each related to distinct mental states. These techniques are used to treat insomnia, depression, attention disorders, anxiety, addictions, and much more. By altering brain waves, sound creates a new mental environment, conducive to healing and transformation. From a spiritual perspective, sound is the conduit between planes. In deep meditative states, many practitioners report hearing the so-called inner sound, a hum, a whisper, a gentle melody that does not come from outside, but from the core of the being. This sound is described in various traditions as the sound of the spirit, the echo of the original word. Hearing it is a sign of connection, of attunement with the source. And practicing inner listening is one of the most direct forms of spiritual healing. Silence, in this context, is not the absence of sound, but the space where the essential sound reveals itself. True healing begins when we learn to listen not with our ears, but with our soul. The relationship between sound and intention is inseparable. Mechanically produced sounds do not have the same effect as those imbued with conscious intention. The healer who chants a mantra with presence, the singer who offers their voice with love, the therapist who vibrates each note with compassion, they all infinitely amplify the effect of the sound. Consciousness is the catalyst. It is what transforms sound into medicine. That's why ancient priests, healers, and spiritual masters were, above all, beings in a profound state of presence. Their personal vibration was the channel through which the sound worked, and their voice, even in silence, healed. The future of medicine is inevitably heading towards the reintegration of this wisdom. Healing equipment through frequency, sound therapies, brain auditory stimulation, DNA vibration, all of these are fragments of a greater truth. The human body responds to sound like a divine harp, tunable, regenerative, awakened, and the spirit, upon rediscovering the lost melody, begins to remember it was never separated. Sound heals because it reconnects. It brings us back to the origin, to the center, to the real. Sound, ultimately, is not merely a medium of expression. It is the very expression of life in motion. It touches where words cannot reach, heals where medicine cannot penetrate, transforms where thoughts cannot infiltrate. It is the voice of eternity echoing in the temple of the present. And you, by resonating with intention and love, become the channel through which the divine manifests as healing. The sound continues. The healing vibrates. The miracle is in the frequency. In every stone erected in ancient civilizations, in every hidden room of the millennial temples, in every underground chamber where sacred chants were intoned, lies a mystery that modern science still hesitates to understand. The ancients held a deep knowledge about sound, not only as a means of communication, but as a technological tool for manipulating reality. This wisdom, often dismissed as mythological or esoteric, was intrinsically connected to the engineering of their buildings, initiation rituals, sacred instruments, and the very structuring of the holy cities. Sound was the bridge between worlds. Vibration was the code that activated the invisible. The ancients did not just listen, they shaped, intoned, and built with sound. They mastered a science that we today call archaic, but which may be far beyond our current understanding. In the pyramids of Egypt, especially in the Great Pyramid of Giza, we find clear evidence of intentional acoustic engineering. The king's chamber has sound properties that amplify certain frequencies and attenuate others. Recent research indicates that certain tones resonate perfectly within its walls, creating interference patterns that generate subtle electromagnetic fields. The arrangement of the chambers, corridors, openings, and mathematical proportions of the monument indicate a precise application of vibrational knowledge. Some theories suggest that the pyramids were not tombs, but resonance devices, giant instruments designed to alter states of consciousness, amplify intentions, heal, or even move objects through acoustic levitation. These hypotheses are not modern fantasies, but recoveries of oral traditions from ancient Egypt, which spoke of priests capable of moving stone blocks through specific chants sung together. Hindu temples also reveal advanced sound architecture. In many of them, simply uttering a mantra at the entrance causes the sound to traverse the entire temple, being amplified and transformed by meticulously carved columns. Temples like the Kailasa, carved from a single stone, display natural resonance in certain rooms, where monks meditate to access expanded states of consciousness. This is no coincidence. These spaces were designed with millimetric precision to align sound, geometry, and energy field. The sacred sound was not merely chanted, it was channeled through the physical structure itself, creating an environment of total vibrational synergy. The Gothic cathedrals of Europe, with their lofty vaults and celestial stained glass, also conceal sonic mysteries. Many of these spaces were built on ancient earth power points, the so-called telluric nodes, and use proportions based on the Fibonacci series and sacred geometry. When the organ or Gregorian chants fill these spaces, a vibrational interaction occurs between the sound, the architecture, and the energetic field of the place. The soul feels it, even without understanding. The sound reverberates not only in the air, but in the bones, the subtle fields, the heart. These structures were erected with the purpose of creating vibrational portals, places where heaven and earth meet, where the human touches the divine through sound. Sacred instruments such as the Egyptian sistrum, Tibetan bowls, Aboriginal didgeridoo, African berimbau, shamanic drums, ceremonial gongs from Asia, all were designed to emit specific frequencies capable of altering internal states, accessing ancestral memories, and invoking spiritual presences. The sistrum, for example, used by the priestesses of Isis, was rhythmically shaken to generate a metallic sound that was said to ward off the forces of disorder. It was not superstition. The vibrational sound of the instrument created energy patterns that reorganized the subtle field of the environment. Tibetan bowls, when rubbed or struck, emit harmonics that immediately induce states of deep relaxation. The monks knew which frequencies activated certain chakras. They did not improvise, they operated a refined spiritual technology. The didgeridoo, used by Australian tribes for millennia, emits sounds that, according to modern research, stimulate the vagus nerve, directly influencing breathing, blood pressure, and the immune system. These instruments were not created by chance. They were received in states of trance, in communion with nature, in deep listening with the earth. They were extensions of the spirit of the forest, the desert, the stars. The sound produced by them was not entertainment. It was a direct connection with the creative forces. It was a code of reconnection, an ancestral call. The very language used in rituals was vibrational. Sanskrit, Hebrew, Quechua, Aramaic, Nahuatl, all these original languages had specific sonic properties. Words not only meant something, they vibrated at a certain frequency. When pronounced correctly, they opened portals, moved energy, performed healings. Sacred formulas, the mantras, the divine names, the invocations, were treated as access codes. Only the initiated knew how, when, and with what intention to pronounce them. This was not exclusive to religions. It was the domain of a vibrational spiritual science that was lost over the centuries, hidden or discredited by power systems that feared the awakening of the human being to their own divinity. But this knowledge was not completely erased. It survived in esoteric orders, in hidden lineages, in oral traditions, in root music, in popular prayers, in whispers of old healers, in gypsy songs, in forgotten hymns that still vibrate in the bones of the earth, in indigenous communities, in isolated monasteries, in drum circles, in monk choirs, in alternative healing practices. This knowledge continues to pulse, waiting to be rediscovered, reinterpreted, and reintegrated into everyday life. Sound has never ceased to be sacred. We are the ones who have forgotten to listen with reverence. Today, with the advancements in science and the rediscovery of traditions, we are at a point of convergence. Researchers like John Stuart Reid with his cymatics chamber visually demonstrate how sound organizes matter into patterns of beauty. NASA scientists study the resonances of planets, revealing that each celestial body emits its own song. Biologists observe how human cells respond to specific sound fields, altering their behavior. Science is beginning to tread the path that the ancients have already traversed, but the future depends on the fusion of this technical knowledge and the spiritual wisdom that recognizes sound as an expression of the soul. The true spiritual technology is not in the machines, but in the conscious use of vibration. It's in how we speak, sing, chant, breathe. It's in how we vibrate presence in silence, how we emit truth with our voice, how we tune in to the frequency of the source. The language of the universe is sound. The invisible structures of reality respond to vibration. Everything vibrates, everything hears, everything feels, and everything resonates with what we emit. Those who learn to master sound with humility, respect, and loving intention become conscious co-creators. They become bridges between worlds. They become bearers of the sacred word. Sound is key. It is a portal. It is an instrument. And it is a path. The life that each human being experiences is a direct reflection of the vibration they hold in their field, and above all, of the sound they emit, consciously or unconsciously, every day. The word, often treated carelessly in everyday life, is one of the most powerful instruments of personal reality creation. Everything that is verbalized, whether aloud, in thought, or in silent intent, takes the form of a frequency, and this frequency, in turn, influences the electromagnetic field around the emitter. This field, in resonance with the emitted vibration, attracts experiences, people, circumstances, and responses that reflect the predominant tone of the verb. Therefore, understanding the creative power of the word is a crucial step in taking ownership of one's own existence. When something is spoken, a command is cast into the field. Each word is like an energetic arrow carrying direction, strength, and vibrational content. By saying, "I can't," "This is impossible," "I am not capable," we are not merely expressing an opinion, we are crystallizing a frequency that will shape the next moments of the experience. The universe, as a quantum field of possibilities, responds not to the superficial desire, but to the dominant vibration. If the word reflects fear, limitation, or doubt, it is this vibration that materializes into form. Conversely, when we affirm with conviction, "I am capable," "I deserve," "I trust," we create a field that aligns with fluidity, openness, and expansion. The word, therefore, is a vibrational decree, and decrees shape destiny. In the Hermetic tradition, there is a principle called the all is mind, which reveals that the universe is mental in its essence, and that thoughts and words have a direct relationship with the creation of reality. This principle is echoed in virtually all ancient spiritual traditions, in which the use of the word was surrounded by reverence, as it was not seen as mere sound, but as living magic, as power in action. The term enchantment, for example, refers to the idea of singing within, of vibrating something internally until it becomes external reality. Words are, in fact, daily enchantments that we cast into the world. Every conversation, every outburst, every complaint or thank you shapes the fabric of existence with invisible precision. Recurring thoughts, even those not verbalized, also function as silent words that emit waves to the universe. The internal dialogue is one of the main architects of reality. If a person continually repeats mental sentences of scarcity, guilt, fear, or failure, they construct a life where such elements manifest as concrete facts. And even when they externally attempt something different, the internal vibration, subtler but more powerful, will continue to prevail. That's why the work of personal transformation necessarily involves verbal and mental re-education. Changing the world begins by changing the language with which one communicates with it. Changing one's destiny starts by changing the way one refers to oneself. Positive decrees, conscious affirmations, personal mantras are ways to use the verb in a constructive manner. When spoken with true intention and repeated consistently, they reprogram the subtle layers of the being. This does not mean denying the current reality, but redefining it. By saying, "I am healthy," even in the face of illness, the individual is not running away from the fact, but vibrating the frequency of healing, calling into existence a higher state of order. The cells, hormones, nervous system, and energy field respond to what is verbalized with faith. The body hears everything. The soul vibrates with each word. Reality bends before vibrational conviction. There is also a sound that is rarely noticed, but is the most influential: the sound of thought. Even when silent, it vibrates. Even when hidden, it impacts. Thoughts are unspoken words, but felt. And often, they are more repetitive and more energy-charged than external speeches. A mind that constantly judges itself, diminishes itself, sabotages itself, creates such a dense frequency that no external achievement will be enough to alter the course of reality. That's why practices like meditation, observation of thoughts, and inner vigilance are essential, not to suppress thoughts, but to choose which ones deserve to be cultivated. The mind is a fertile field. The word is the seed. Reality is the fruit. Silence is also a powerful sound. In many spiritual traditions, silence is not seen as the absence of sound, but as the space where true sound is born. Conscious silence is the preparation for the creative word. It clears the noise, dissolves chaotic vibrations, and allows the word, when it comes, to carry truth. Speaking from inner silence is to manifest with clarity. Therefore, great sages speak little. When they do speak, each word is a spark of power. Silence aligns, speech reveals. And truth, when spoken with integrity, transforms everything it touches. Personal relationships, emotional bonds, family and professional environments are deeply influenced by the vibrational quality of the words that circulate there. Homes where criticism, judgment, and verbal aggression, even subtle, predominate, become energetically dense fields, conducive to conflicts, diseases, and ruptures. On the other hand, spaces where speech is compassionate, honest, and careful transform into temples of healing and growth. The word is contagious. It shapes atmospheres, and its repetition establishes patterns that perpetuate for generations. Words spoken to a child, for example, are imprinted in their field for life, and often become the internal voice that will accompany them for decades. One word heals, another hurts, and both have a long life. The language we use to describe life is, in itself, a map of our consciousness. People who speak in terms of opportunities, learnings, possibilities, and miracles live more fluid and expansive realities. Conversely, those who describe everything in terms of problems, limitations, tragedies, and threats are, in fact, narrating the prison they have built for themselves. Words are like bricks of an invisible construction, and often, by changing the narrative, the entire internal and consequently external architecture is changed. Changing one's vocabulary is akin to rewriting one's destiny, and this is a power available now, with every sentence, with every choice of expression. The word is also a vehicle for blessing. When we bless someone, be it with a "go with God," a "I wish you light," and "I love you," we are not just saying something beautiful. We are transferring energy. We are emitting a frequency that, if received, can act as protection, elevation, or healing. On the other hand, when we curse, even without conscious intention, we send dense vibrational charges that can affect the other, but always reverberate in us with greater force. The curse returns. The blessing expands. That's why popular wisdom has always warned, what you say comes back. and it comes back, because it never left. It stayed vibrating around the one who emitted it. Learning to speak consciously is a spiritual journey in itself. It's a daily practice of observation, choice, and alignment. It requires courage to abandon the language of victimization, scarcity, and blame. It demands responsibility to recognize that each word is a thread with which destiny is woven, and it requires love to use the voice as a tool for construction, inspiration, and liberation. The word is a temple, and every temple should be sacred. Reality does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you vibrate, and your most constant vibration is expressed by the words you use. Every sentence, every verbalized thought, every pronounced intention is a seed in the quantum field. You are the gardener of your universe, and words are what you plant. Speak as one who creates worlds, think as one who rules universes, and feel as one who is already the verb that transforms. Amidst the incessant noise of modern life, where artificial sounds dominate the surroundings and words are hastily and carelessly spilled, there exists a silent call that persists, a distant yet unmistakable echo resonating from the deepest core of the being. It's the call of the original sound, the primordial vibration that never ceased, but was gradually obscured by layers upon layers of distractions, fears, and conditionings. This sound does not come from outside. It pulsates within, at the heart of the spirit, in the space prior to thoughts, where there is no formal language, only pure frequency. Hearing it is not an auditory act. It's a return, a remembrance, a reunion with one's own vibrational nature. And awakening this inner gospel is, more than any external practice, the true initiation into a new state of consciousness. Throughout life, many are trained to speak. Few are taught to truly listen, not with the physical ears, but with an open soul. The original sound is not found in external noise, nor in speeches clamoring for attention. It reveals itself in the silence between words, in the space between thoughts, in the pause between inhalation and exhalation. It is there that the source whispers. It is in this still point that the eternal word manifests itself as intuition, as silent certainty, as unmistakable vibration. To listen to this sound is to remember who you are. It is to cease the effort of being something and allow the being to simply vibrate its most authentic truth. All spiritual traditions point, in distinct ways, to this return. Some talk about hearing the voice of the Holy Spirit. Others describe it as the lost note of the soul, or the sound of the awakened heart. In Buddhism, it's the sound of nothing, not as absence, but as the vibrational matrix from where everything arises. In Hinduism, it's the anahata nada, the untouched sound that vibrates eternally in the center of the chest. In Sufism, it's the breath of the beloved, felt in each cell. And in Western esoteric schools, it's the sound of light, captured when the being is fully aligned with the higher self. All these pointers converge. There exists a prior, essential sound that cannot be heard with the senses, but only perceived by the awakened consciousness. Awakening the inner gospel is to begin vibrating with this sound. It's not about a doctrine nor an external sacred book, but a living revelation that pulses at the core of being and wants to express itself through everyone's life. It is allowing the inner word to guide actions, for the heart's voice to overcome the noise of the conditioned mind. It is choosing, moment by moment, to emit the frequency of love, truth, presence, even amidst chaos. The verb does not need to be spoken to act. A pure, silent intention has more creative power than 1,000 empty words. And when one lives in coherence with this inner vibration, life reorganizes itself as if by magic around the frequency that is sustained. This process of returning is neither linear nor immediate. It's a gradual unlearning, where layers of old patterns are being dissolved. It takes courage to stop repeating inherited phrases, limiting beliefs, vocabularies of fear and guilt. It requires vigilance to notice how one's own language has been shaped by the collective unconscious. But as consciousness expands, speech transforms. Words become lighter, truer, quieter, and paradoxically, more powerful. And this power is not one of control, but of harmonization. Not of domination, but of integration. Conscious speech does not divide, it unifies. Practices for accessing the original sound exist in all cultures. Prolonged intonations of sacred vowels, such as A, E, I, O, U, activate energy centers and help to tune in with the internal vibration. The use of harmonic instruments like crystal bowls, harps, monochords, or even the heart drum can induce states where the mind quiets and subtle listening opens up. Conscious breathing techniques, especially those that alternate nostrils or prolong the exhalation, are gateways to the inner space where the sound of the soul can be felt. But no technique is more powerful than total surrender. The original sound cannot be forced. It reveals itself when the being stops seeking externally and surrenders to presence. And when this vibration is activated, it not only heals the individual, it expands to the world. Each human being who returns to their original sound becomes a focus of vibrational coherence on the planet. And in a world taken over by dissonances, by voices that scream senselessly, by messages that vibrate fear, pain, and separation, a single being aligned with the word can resonate like a beacon, like healing, as a reminder of the real. This is the true spiritual work, to become the sound that harmonizes, the word that reconciles, the silence that reveals. To become the incarnate word, no longer to talk about the sacred, but to be the living expression of the sacred in human form. The gospel of the original sound is not something to be preached, but to be lived. It does not ask for followers, but for the awakened. It does not demand belief, but listening. It is not tied to any religion, any language, any external temple. It vibrates in the inner temple of every being that remembers. And this remembrance is not a new belief, but an ancient certainty, which has always been present, just dormant under the weight of distractions. When this memory awakens, everything changes. The way one walks, looks, speaks, listens, loves. Everything begins to vibrate with the frequency of the first sound, and life returns to being a prayer, melody, sacred poem. The final invitation is not to study more. It is to be more silent. It's not about repeating mantras mindlessly, but to feel what vibrates behind each syllable. It's not about seeking external gurus, but to listen to the inner master. This master speaks all the time, but not in sentences, in frequencies. He doesn't impose, he resonates. And when the heart is clear, he makes himself heard clearly. And he says, "You are the sound. You are the word. You are creation in motion." Returning to the original sound is not a journey away from the world, but deeply within it. It is living in harmony with reality as it is, but without getting lost in illusion. It is acting with compassion, speaking with truth, thinking with clarity, and vibrating with love. It is remembering that each word is a seed, and that the world we live in is the garden where these seeds blossom. And it is understanding, finally, that we are all children of sound, parts of the cosmic choir that never stopped singing. And that, upon finding our note again, we not only heal ourselves, we heal the world with our sonic presence. And so, it's no longer necessary to shout to be heard. Just vibrate. And everything around begins to dance to the music that you are. If this original sound resonated within you, tell me in the comments. Which word has been shaping your reality lately? And what new vibration do you choose to manifest from now on? We are co-creating this field together, and your expression is an essential part of this sacred chorus. If you felt that this video stirred something in your heart, then you need to continue this journey with the next chapter. The Book of 33 Steps, the Hidden Map. Jesus left for enlightenment. Tap on your screen now and discover the forgotten steps to awakening that he left for those who have ears to hear. We'll meet there, vibrant soul. We are mind unfettered, and the journey is just beginning.